Unfortunately, the long-awaited final battle at Laqua gets off to a pretty disappointing start with episodes 133 and 134 because the three big conflicts in these two episodes are all riddled with issues. The Runerigus and Cofagrigus battle is extremely frustrating to watch. It's repetitive, stagnant, and visually stiff. It's basically a prolonged standoff where both sides mostly stare each other down until someone makes a move rather than an actual battle. Now, credit where credit is due. Rubina and Indi's strategy is absolutely evil and very clever. If Dot, Nemona, and Penny attack, Destiny Bond takes their Pokemon down too. If they hesitate, Curse slowly wears them down. And the Mean Look prevents them from switching out to escape Curse. So basically, attack and you lose, hesitate and you still lose. It's underhanded and frustrating, but it's also fitting because the villains are the ones using such an evil strategy. And you know me, I always appreciate smart tactics, even when the battle itself is not very good or exciting. It's even worse that when Gholdengo finally breaks the stalemate, taking one for the team like an absolute badass, another wave of Runerigus and Cofagrigus appears. So we're right back where we started. It feels like a boss fight where you spend forever lowering the boss's health only for it to heal back to full, making all your effort feel pointless. Thankfully, Hamber shows up before this drags on for too long and becomes unbearable. Dusk Noir negating Curse by physically removing the nails is really cool, and we get to see Blood Moon Ursaluna again. It's incredibly intimidating, which is awesome. Hamber also proves he's still a badass and a one-man army by letting Dot, Nemona, and Penny move on while he handles the grunts himself. This also lets him repay his debt to Dot from episode 110. Though I'm sure he would have helped anyway, because he's on their side. But it's still a nice callback, and another example of Horizons making the past matter. The 3-on-3 Mega Evolution battle is 50-50. The first part, in episode 133, is mostly terrible, while the second part, in episode 134, is a big improvement. On paper, 6 Mega Evolved Pokémon fighting in a group battle sounds like it should be one of the standout moments of the final battle, but unfortunately, it falls short. The first part suffers from the usual issues. The camera zooms in too much during exchanges, which might be meant to emphasize impact, but it ends up hiding the scale and the choreography, and when the camera pulls back, we still get too many stiff shots, slow movement, and a slideshow animation. Heck, like I've said before, zooming in this much might just be a way to obscure the lack of actual animation. They took a 2-week break before this final battle started, so I really hoped the animation would be better. That said, there are some diamonds in the rough. Glalie using Blizzard to conceal itself and its allies is a clever tactic, and it gives the battle a cool, ominous atmosphere. Starmie using agility to clear the snow like a sentient propeller is also great. I love that we see the payoff to Ult's defensive training with Master Mayonnaise and Diana in episode 132. Sableye protects its allies with its gem, which is honestly commendable because Ult is usually reckless and self-centered. He tries to brute force his way through problems, pretending he's the best. But here, he's using his brain, supporting his allies, and playing for the team. I also like that while smart, blocking Glalie mouth with the gem backfires spectacularly because Glalie turns it into a shield too. Which then leads to another nice moment. Starmie recovering the gem for Sableye, which starts an in-battle partnership that only grows stronger in episode 134. Speaking of episode 134, this is where the battle improves. Lucario versus Medicham becomes what you want to see from two fighting type Pokemon battling each other. Fast exchanges, dodging, blocking, close combat, and actual movement. Lucario's hands being frozen also leads to some clever fighting, namely relying on its appendages via aura to fight back, including against Medicham's ghost-like extra arms, making the exchange feel visually matched. There are even more clever tactics, such as Sableye bouncing Confuse Ray off the ice, and Starmie using Sableye's gem to redirect Psybeam towards Aerodactyl, reinforcing the battle partnership between Starmie and Sableye as they keep backing each other up, eventually ending with them bumping fists, which their trainers mirror. This is fitting because Ult looks up to Friede, and now Sableye looks up to Starmie. It's not all good though. There are still a few moments with awkward composition and JPEGs being dragged across the screen animation. Sableye and Starmie running around like headless chickens is funny, but it's not what you want to see in a climactic Mega Evolution battle. And Glalie using self-destruct to take itself out, alongside Aerodactyl and Starmie, mostly ends the battle way too abruptly. It fits Coral because this has been one of her trademarks throughout the series, but for such an important battle, it feels unceremonious. Narrative value is where this battle truly makes up for its blunders. It's a massive turning point for Coral, Sidian, and Chalce, since they all finally realize that using strong spheres is wrong. Coral and Sidian already had doubts, of course, and Hamber only made their doubts grow. So they just needed one more push. Chalce, meanwhile, needed a bigger push, since not even Hamber could shake her conviction completely. Medicham losing Mega Evolution is significant. It might just be exhaustion, but symbolically, it feels like their bond has been eroded by repeated strong sphere use to the point that they can no longer maintain Mega Evolution. Medicham choosing to still fight for Chalce, with a strong sphere no less, is admirable. This shows how much it cares about her. Their bond is so strong that it's still alive. The one-sided beatdown from Lucario maintains the good animation. It's fast, dynamic, and intense. But I felt sorry for Medicham because it had no chance. Though that's the point. Roy and Lucario are fighting together with Mega Evolution, a sign of their bond, while Chalce and Medicham battle with a strong sphere instead, a sign of their divide. Chalce finally realizing how much Medicham means to her, embracing it, and recognizing her mistake is genuinely heartfelt, and it goes a long way towards redeeming her. The Rampaging wild Pokemon sequence is thematically strong, even if it's not the most exciting to watch. Laqua drives them mad, forcing them to attack each other and run amok, which perfectly illustrates what Laqua and company are trying to prevent. The spread of strong spheres will erode bonds, separating Pokemon from their trainers. Friends will turn into enemies, and nature will be in danger. Extra points because this conflict reminded me of the first Pokemon movie, for obvious reasons. The issue is that while peacekeeping is noble, it's not exactly thrilling. Laqua and the others are mostly trying to subdue the wild Pokemon safely, protect each other, and prevent the situation from spiraling further. There is tension, and it's really nice to finally see Onya and Cirque fighting alongside Laqua and friends. But this still doesn't save this sequence from being unexciting to watch. Now, Laqua does corrupt the Pokemon again after they are subdued, so things return to where they started, but this isn't frustrating like in the Runerigus and Cofagrigus battle, because it serves the story by reinforcing why the core must be erased. As long as it remains, Laqua can keep coming back. Zygarde reaching its complete form is obviously the biggest moment in this section. Seeing shiny complete Zygarde animated is very cool. I love that it uses not only the cells Amedeo gathered, but also the cells left dormant in Laqua after the last big showdown here. Zygarde knew this day would come. Again, the past matters. I do, however, think this moment feels a little anticlimactic. Complete Form Zygarde is one of the strongest cards they have, so unleashing it to pacify wild Pokemon makes the transformation feel less climactic than it should. Also, I love that we get a reunion between Friede and Amedeo that honors their history as former arch-enemies and how Cap and Pagogo work together to destroy the devices rattling the core. I love that Yuha returns. Back in episode 84, he distrusted Laqua and friends because of their bad reputation, but they earned his trust. Now, when the villagers blame the Rising Bull Tacklers, Yuha steps up and defends them because he knows the truth. It's another great example of Horizons making the journey matter. A character who could have been a one-off returns, and the trust Laqua and company earned back then bears fruit now. I love that Perrin and YS continue to feel like part of the adventure and the team, which is something I praised in episode 132. They are present, participating, and this time it's even more meaningful because they are documenting what's happening, which is the entire reason why they came along, to gather proof and help clear the name of the Rising Bull Tacklers. I love that Molly, Orla, Murdoch, and the Mighty G all help the villagers and the Pokemon. This reminds us that even the team members who are not on the front lines are still contributing, and it gives Perrin and YS actual heroics to document as proof that the Rising Ball tacklers are innocent. It also vindicates Yuha in real time because the people he defended are now visibly proving him right. I also love that the granny who cannot speak without her dentures returns too, and hilariously, she's amazed by Mighty G. I love the sheer scale of everyone coming together. Back in episode 131, seeing Liko and friends and all their allies in one room already made the journey feel huge. But these 2 episodes go even further with all the Pokemon, all the Terra-type holders, and eventually the 6 heroes arriving too. It really sells the Avengers level feeling I've been talking about. So many characters and Pokemon gathering for the final battle. The ending of episode 134, everyone standing together in front of Spinel, is genuinely epic, and it does a great job setting up the real final clash. I also love seeing everyone do the special handshake of the Rising Bolt tacklers. A nice touch. I hate the limitations Liko and friends have because of their plan. I like it in theory because it raises the stakes. If any of the 18 Terra-type holders go down, the plan fails, so every battle and every decision matters more. It's like playing a no respawn mode where one mistake costs you dearly because there are no do-overs, which elevates the tension. But at the same time, it feels a bit exaggerated. They could have stocked up on potions. They have Hatterene healing, and in the anime, Pokemon often recover enough to stand shortly after being knocked out. And assuming revives exist and work like in the games, they could have stocked up on those too. So while I understand the restriction and appreciate the suspense it creates, it still feels a little too strict and ends up limiting what Liko and company can do in a way that hurts some of the action and the pacing and forces them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. But yeah, that's the review. Overall, these 2 episodes were mostly a huge disappointment. Clever, but frustrating and repetitive. Amazing on paper, uneven in execution, but ultimately still entertaining, intense, and important for the characters and the story. Thematically rich, but unexciting and unfortunately anticlimactic. Secondary, minor even, but nonetheless valuable and noteworthy. And oh so epic, monumental, and awe-inspiring. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.